Hey everyone and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV, where today we are continuing our investigations into the activities of the heretics, which appears to be somewhat intertwined with our investigations into the Garlean spy, because it seems that the heretics have been benefiting from Garlemald's activities. Specifically, Garlemald appears to be lending them aid via the spy. So that's pleasant. Our investigations are tying together. Hey, at least that means we can kill two birds with one stone. Today, before we get started with more main story, I do want to make sure that we go over the Black Mage changes for Dawntrail. Black Mage is completely different. Not completely different, and they're going to change it again in a week or so, from when I'm recording this, when the first patch for Dawntrail comes out. So it will be changed a little bit, but only slightly. They're just going to add a way to make it easier to get MP back at lower levels. But we are definitely going to want to be out in the field to show this off. Okay, so let's see. Let's find some enemies we can fight that are reasonably strong enough that we don't need to worry about... killing them too quickly. Yeah, let's go do Inspector Hatchet. Fate bosses will generally last a little bit, especially since we're going to get level sync down. Alright, so how exactly has Black Mage changed? Well, at our level, some of the changes aren't available yet. There was one ability that just got completely removed. Let's just go ahead and use Black Mage in this fight, see how it works now. And then I'll go over the patch notes. Immediately, you may notice that I can't cast Thunder. I was able to cast it once when right after casting Fire 3, but now we can't cast it. Well, that's unfortunate. Why is it like this? We can't cast Thunder anymore, except under very specific conditions. Oh hey, would you look at that? Mana font restored our MP to max and gave us access to Thunder 3. So what is going on with this? We will get into it in just a moment, but Black Mage is very, very different now. It used to be that there were two core changes. The first core change is how MP works. It used to be that MP would regenerate on a timer. You know what? No, let's finish this fight and then I'll explain it once I can focus brain power onto actually explaining properly. Though I need to also stop getting my ass kicked would be nice. Okay. Went through a fight as Black Mage. We saw that it is it's fairly different. There's a few changes going on here. MP regeneration is quite different, Mana font works a bit differently, and Thunder is completely different. So what's going on here? There were two core changes to Black Mage. One, MP generation is different. It used to be that when you were in Ice Phase, you would generate MP with each server tick. This could, in some situations, cause problems if your rotation is slightly out of sync with the server's ticks. Specifically, you could end up in a situation where where you do your regular rotation, but you don't get all your MP back. So you have to do one extra attack in Ice Phase to make sure you get all your MP back. They've changed that. Now, MP is regenerated in Ice Phase per Blizzard attack used, or per Ice attack used. And the amount generated depends on your number of stacks of your element gauge. So, let's see. If we are at one tier of Astral Ice, then each ice spell will regenerate 2,500 MP. If we are at tier 2, each cast of an ice spell will generate 5,000 MP. And at tier 3, we immediately just get 10,000 MP back for one spell. So, at tier 1, 4 spells, tier 2, 2 spells, tier 3, just one ice spell and we're good. Okay, so MP generation is now tied to your cast of Blizzard, so now it's a lot more consistent. You don't have to worry nearly as much about, like, is the server tick going to make you do one extra attack in Ice Phase or not? So that's good. That is genuinely a really good change, just for, like, making Black Mage feel a bit more consistent to play, and making the ice spells feel like they're more than just filler, because they're actually directly giving you MP back. The other core change is Thunder. It is no longer a spell that you can cast manually. Thunder will only become available in one specific situation. If you switch from ice or no element to fire, or if you switch from no element or fire to ice. When you switch elements, you gain access to one cast of your Thunder spells. So that they've tied Thunder into switching back and forth. As a side effect of this, they also removed the Thunder proc, where you would get a free Thunder cast just on random chance per tick of the dot on the enemies. So it's no longer RNG on the Thunder cast. Now it's just when you switch phases, you can cast Thunder, and Thunder is always instant cast. Thunder will always basically act as if you had that Thunder proc that existed before Dawntrail. Completely instant cast, free, no MP cost, just use it whenever you switch phases from fire to ice or ice to fire. It's completely free, instant cast, there's no reason not to use it. It's nice, it's convenient. I guess you might want to save it during, like, big pulls if you want to hit another enemy with a Thunder 3, or if you want to make sure you have a full pull ready before you cast a Thunder 2. That might make sense to some people depending on just your situation. Those are the core changes to Black Mage. Let me go ahead and go over real quick the notes from the job guide, the official job guide, and see if there's anything I've missed. Okay, so yeah, Thunder completely reworked, MP cost removed, cast time has been made instant. Potency's also been increased from 30 to 120. Damage over time potency was increased. Those potency changes might be tied to leveling up though, so I'm not going to worry too much about those. The base potency increase might be universal. It was 30 before. Now regular Thunder is... Yeah, regular Thunder is just now 120. Okay, so yeah, the base potency on your lightning spells has been increased quite a bit. Quadrupled on base Thunder, it looks like. So that's nice. Blizzard actually got a nerf. It got its potency reduced. Fire 2 also got nerfed. It's got its potency removed. The enhanced... There was a proc from your fire spells called Enhanced Flare, which I don't even remember what that does. I assume it just made Flare more powerful, but that's gone as well. I think Firestarter still exists though. Firestarter being the proc that lets you get free Fire 3. Yeah, you still have a chance of getting Firestarter. That proc is still there. That's good. That's actually a pretty core part of Black Mage's rotation. I'm glad that that's still here. Let's see, what else has been changed? Monofont has been completely revamped. It now fully restores MP, grants you Astral Fire 3, grants you the ability to use Thunder, grants... that's for later on. I think we get that in Heaven's Word. And that's for much later on. Yeah, Monofont's completely reworked now. It's basically just, I want a second fire phase. We've had one fire phase, maybe we have another. It just completely refreshes you ready to go for a second fire phase, which is really fun. What else has been changed? Just the regular Thunder changes looking through. Flare has been strengthened a little bit. Yeah, Enhanced Flare is gone, and in exchange they made Flare a little bit stronger. And I think that's about it for the changes up to level 50 for Black Mage. It got a lot of changes. There's small change. It's several medium-sized changes that have a fairly big effect on how the class or how the job feels. The rotation should generally be roughly the same, with the exception of Thunder is now cast every time you switch phases. But it should, other than that, be largely the same rotation. It just feels more consistent, especially with some of the procs being removed, so it's less RNG based, and with the MP generation being tied to cast rather than to server ticks. I think Black Mage, from what I have heard of the changes, is actually probably much better, but I'm going to be honest, this is my first time touching it since Dawntrail came out. Anyways, we've gone over, spent 11 minutes, the Black Mage changes, so let's get started with the main story for today. Alphino is eager to hear Ilbert's report on the Ivy. Captain Ilbert, your report, if you will. Aye, Commander. Firstly, with regard to the heretic we captured, I regret to say that the man could tell us naught that we did not already know of Shiva. We have since handed him over to the Ishgardian authorities. Henceforth, the Holy See will pursue the matter independently. Our inquiries concerning the Ivy, however, have proven more fruitful. We have ascertained the channel by which the heretics acquired their information on the shipment routes. Go on. You will recall the flame we first identified as being in the Ivy's employ. From him, we were able to trace a trail of conspirators, each taking us closer to his master. Alas, the trail came to an abrupt end. Fearing that the investigation had been compromised, we took the necessary step of detaining all suspected of conspiracy. There were 5 on our list, including a flame station at Revenant's Toll. The man's primary duty was to keep an inventory of donations from abroad, the particulars of which he would share with benefactors, thereby ensuring that needs did not go unfulfilled. By virtue of his role, he was privy to the details of all shipments bound for the settlement. Needless to say, that included those originating from House Fortom. He knew the precise route the caravan would take, and he sold that information to a merchant. I think I can guess which one. None other. With a little encouragement, he soon confessed to knowingly aiding and abetting the heretics. Well, that is one mystery solved at least, but what of the Ivy? Are we any closer to prizing off his mask? I dare say we are, Commander. Our relentless pursuit has forced him to commit a grave error. In a desperate bid to cover his tracks, the Ivy resorted to exercising certain administrative powers available only to high-ranking members of the Immortal Flames. If you consider then that our investigation is known to barely a handful of them, the field of suspects is greatly narrowed. You mean to say that the agent is among Ralbon's innermost circle? Someone who's been with him since the Immortal Flames establishment. This is the most plausible explanation. The infiltration likely occurred during the company's founding, with the groundwork for the act being laid beforehand. To slip into a position of authority unremarked and remain above suspicion all these years. I too was surprised, though I really should not have been. Of the 3 grand companies, Ul'dah's was ever the more vulnerable to infiltration. Both Limsa Luminsa and Gridania had long-standing armed forces that lent themselves well to the formation of the Maelstrom and the Order of the Twin Adder. To all intents and purposes, it was the same people, loyal ones mind, under the same leadership, only the banner was different. Not so the Flames. Ul'dah's military is made up of disparate orders, most of which were glorified mercenary companies that answered only to their own paymasters. Hardly an ideal environment in which to establish something as high-minded as a grand company. The difficulties Ralbon faced when founding the Immortal Flames are well known. Even after he had convinced his fellow syndicate members to share the costs, there remained the small matter of finding enough bodies to fill the ranks. Indeed, given the pressing nature of the Imperial threat, that meant recruiting every passing sellsword. Amidst the chaos of its founding, it would have been child's play to infiltrate the company. A good deal easier then than now, The Immortal Flames have ever been caught between conflicting interests, the public and the private. Though the monitors ultimately agreed to support the organization's founding, it was not out of charity that they did so, but simple self-preservation. Had Nail Van Darnus' ambitions been any less apocalyptic, you may be sure that they would have never have risked supplying Ralbon with an army. 'Tis but a wonder that they did not attempt to extinguish the flames the moment the danger had passed. Returning to the present. Even as we speak, our Doman allies are shadowing several high-ranking flames, any one of whom could be the Ivy. Desiring to deal a blow against the Empire, the refugees were eager to lend us their aid. I expect to hear from them ere long. Very good. Pray continue your investigation with the first. Meanwhile, have the second attend to the unrest. The third can join the fourth in inspecting crystal shipments. If they notice anything unusual, I want to know about it. If Shiva is summoned in like manner to other primals, the heretics will be looking for further supplies. Understood, Commander. I shall send word to Sir Emmerich informing him of our success in identifying the heretics' abettors. Hopefully the information will be of some use to the Ishgardians. It is time, Commander. Yes, I am aware. An emergency council of the Alliance leadership has been called. There have been developments in Garlemald, it would seem. As Commander of the Crystal Braves, my presence has been requested. I would have you accompany me, Satora. As the realm's status champion, 'tis only meet that you be present for the discussion. Oh, and the antecedent has already given her consent, lest you worry. Ah, good. Well, glad to know that Minfilia has given her consent, and mine is unnecessary, apparently. Obviously, I'm gonna show up, but like, wow, Alfredo really just does like dragging us around wherever he wants us to be. Upon the honor of the Crystal Braves, I swear I shall not rest until the Ivy is unmasked and in chains. Like, again, he's well-intentioned, but he's a little bit full of himself. He's competent. Unfortunately, he's competent enough that it justifies his arrogance. Like me, you are doubtless eager to conclude our business with Iceheart, but until another path to her sanctum is found, she will remain beyond our reach. Minfilia and the Archons are sparing no effort to secure an alternate route. Until such time as they succeed, I suggest we give some thought to the realm's other problems. I shall go on ahead to Gridania in readiness for the coming council. Meet me at Nafika's altar, and we shall make our way to the Lotus Stand together. Alright, I'll see you there. Though yeah, the news of Shiva is concerning. So what do we know so far? We know that she is a historical figure, a saint of the heretics who had sex with dragons. So she's not a god like most other primals. She's more similar to Good King Magomag, another historical figure. So I guess primals don't have to be gods in order to be summoned. We've already been wondering about that. But Shiva potentially being a primal would explain, would corroborate that. On top of that, the similarities we know is that primals require a great number of ether crystals to summon, as well as a good deal of faith and prayer. The Mughals were praying to Good King Magomag XII in order to save the Twelveswood from the ongoing conflicts. The heretics would be praying to Shiva to deliver them and aid them in their war against Ishgard. Similarly, all of the societies, as much as it is an objectively better name than what they had before, it is a little clunky. All the other societies in Eorzea that are summoning primals, that are summoning gods as primals, they are all praying for salvation and like to be protected from us. So those seem to be the two core things that are similar between all primals. And then primals also have the ability to temper those who are nearby once they have been summoned, which is of great concern for sure. And they rely on a great deal of ether from the land in order to sustain their forms, which is dangerous for the land. We Braves are meant to be forerunners for a united grand company. Sounds impressive, but guard duty's guard duty, no matter how fancy your duds look. Yeah, I'm sorry. It is important, but you are right, guard duty is guard duty. But yeah, like, the fact that being a god is no longer a commonality between all primals does possibly give us a clue into what primals are if they're not gods. We just don't have all the pieces yet. In fact, we effectively lost a piece. Unlike Rauban, politics is not my cup of tea. While you and the commander attend the council, I will attend to some business of my own. Sounds good. My thanks for coming, Satora. When you are ready, speak with the conjurer yonder. She will show us to the Lotus Stand. Can do. Hello there, conjurer friend. The Alliance leaders await you at the Lotus Stand. Will you be joining them now? I will.
Change has come to the Garlean Empire, and we must discuss the implications.
The rumors are true, then? The War of Succession is ended?
It is. A new emperor reigns in Garlemald.
Who?
The birth and all too rapid expansion of the Garlean Empire is commonly attributed to the strategic brilliance of Solus Zosgalvis, yet he did not rule alone. Several members of the royal household also distinguished themselves during his reign. Nevertheless, it was the eldest son who stood to inherit the throne, until his most untimely passing.
I thought us fortunate when I learned that the Emperor had died without naming a successor.
Would that the Garlean Empire had died with him.
Twas the grandson and his uncle who had the strongest claims, was it not?
Indeed, yet claims count for little without the power to assert them. High Legatus Varus Ye Galvus is a respected military leader. Not so his uncle.
So young Varus has torn the crown from his uncle's grasp and taken his place at the head of the Empire.
Given the troubled nature of his succession, the new emperor will require time to seal his grip on power. Yet have no doubt but that he shall, for there are none left with strength enough to oppose him.
Since the success of Operation Archon, the remnants of the 14th Legion and the forces occupying Alamigo have done naught but fortify their positions. But you can be sure they'll be ready to march on us again, if their Emperor gives the word.
When, not if. They say this Varus was so set upon Eorzean annexation that he spoke out against the Meteor Project.
Plainly, the new emperor's intentions are of great concern to us all. I propose that we set aside the Cartno dispute for the present, and discuss what measures the Alliance might take to prepare for a resumption of hostilities with Garlemald. Moreover, I move that we re-examine the question of how our former allies in Ishgard might be persuaded to retake their place at our side. Could Eorzea but stand as one, 'twould deal a grave blow to our enemies' ambitions.
Well, I suppose we should be grateful that they have finally acknowledged the inevitability of Imperial attack. Who knows? They may even do something about it. If only the leaders of Ishgard would follow their example and stop hiding behind their gates, praying for the coming storm to pass them by. But that is a discussion for another time. At present, I am more concerned by the fact that the Alliance's mooted preparations will be made known to the Garleans many moons before their coming. So long as the ivy eludes our grasp, no secret is safe.
We'll just have to do what we can to catch her as soon as possible then. That's our job, Alphino. As long as we catch the ivy in time, he, she, they, whoever they are, hopefully we'll be able to make any further preparations without Garlemald finding out. It will not have escaped your notice that the nations of Eorzea are no nearer to the being of one purpose, despite their protestations to the contrary. Plainly, the threat of a resurgent Garlemald is not enough to stir them. And the reason for this? Deep-rooted mistrust among the citizenry. The nation's leaders can come to all the understandings they like, but their unity means little and less to the common folk. Take the Lominsons, for instance. Though Admiral Merlevib outlawed piracy over a decade ago, foreigners still picture the nation as a haven for grog-swilling, wooden-legged cutthroats. And likewise, the Gridanians are marked as hermits who talk to trees, and the Uldan scorned as swindlers who worship coin. Okay, but the last one's true. Not that such sentiments are entirely without grounds, of course. Take that pillar of Uldan society, Teleji Adeleji, for example. I'm glad we're on the same page, Alphino. But that is beside the point. The fact is that people are wary of outsiders whether they have cause to be or not. On that basis, one could argue that the conflict at Cartano is a necessary evil. Each nation has its own warmongering faction that advocates the acquisition of Omega. In order to placate them, we present them something resembling warfare and thereby curb their appetite for full-scale conflict. But enough idle musing. Let us speak of a more pressing matter, the Ivy. Since we spoke at the Observatorium, Captain Ilbert has further shortened his list of suspects, and by happy coincidence, the one he deems the most likely candidate has lately come to Gridania. The hunt nears its end, Satora. All that remains is to corner our quarry. Seek out Ilbert near the Adder's Nest. He'll give you the particulars. Should there be any developments in Kurthus, you may be sure that I'll send word without delay. In the meantime, I wish you success in apprehending the Ivy. Okay. A short list with a suspect here in Gridania. Let's do it. Why do I have my recommendations up? Hi there, Ilbert. My thanks for coming, Scion. Doubtless the commander has informed you, but we have unmasked the Ivy. From this point on, we must proceed with extreme caution. Well, tell us, who is it? Also, I forgot to write down what gear we're getting today. Oops. Crap, hang on. What are the options? We've got tank. It's all body armor. We've got tank, we've got dragoon, and we've got ninja monk. Okay. Tank. Tank needs some armor. Goodness, tank needs some armor. Dragoon needs it less urgently. And ninja monk is fine. Okay, we're giving that to tanks. The tanks are in need. Thank you. Thank you kindly. Oh, right, I'm Black Mage right now. Let's get that equipped on them. Alright then, with that, next time on Final Fantasy XIV, we are chasing Ivy. Apparently, the list of suspects has been narrowed, and a suspect is in Gridania. Someone high up among the Immortal Flames, someone who's been with Raubon since the beginning, probably in his innermost circle, always with him, or at least in close contact with him. Maybe we've even seen them around sometime recently. It would make sense if they're spying and they're that close in that they're not suspected at all. They could easily just be hanging out and talking to us without us even noticing. Well, we'll have to see who Ilbert has in mind next time.